Today marks the end of a journey for Priory Witham's Year 8s, Jade and Abby. For the last 3 months they have been investigating a very special garment made in the early 18th century. A formal dress worn for grand occasions and for attendance at the royal court. It's extremely rare. It was last exhibited to celebrate the coronation of King George VI. After over 70 years in storage, it's been conserved and reconstructed. This is the Mantua Story.
So Sarah, I hear you've been working with the Mantua dress for quite a while now. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yes, the Mantua was donated to the Usher Gallery in 1937 by Miss Charlotte Epton, and it had previously been in a coronation exhibition at the Usher, and it was loaned for that. And in the catalogue, because I did find the original catalogue, it is described as a court Mantua dress of the Queen Anne period, which is 1702 to 1714. So it's a lot earlier than we now have it dated to.
And where does the word Mantua come from?
It comes from the French word coat, we think, but it could also have a connection to the city of Mantua in Italy. Nobody's really sure.
And what is it made out of?
It's made out of Spitalfield silk, which was a very famous silk manufacturing area in London in the 18th century.
So the dyes it used can cause the silk to rot. Why is this?
Well, in the 18th century they only had organic dyes, so the dyes were made from plants mainly. The red dye in the Mantua, we have had a dye analysis done. That's actually the red dyes from insects, and the black dye, which is the dye that can cause damage to silk, is made from oak galls, and these are little growths on an oak tree made by the gall wasp. And there's something in the chemicals there that when it's dyed, particularly with silk, it starts to degrade the silk almost as soon as the process is finished.
So Sarah, you've been working with the Mantua dress for quite a while now. What part have you played?
The point I took it over, it was in the conservator's studio down in Stamford, and it was awaiting conservation work. So at that point I joined the museum, and I took the project on with a view to having the dress conserved and then eventually displaying it. There's 2 samples of the fabric from the Mantua itself, which I think are really interesting because you can have a look at the reverse of the fabric, and you can see how beautifully the flowers have been woven here. They're almost as good as they are on the right side of the fabric. And I also have a sample of some blue and white checked fabric, which when Sheila was conserving the dress, she found these attached to one of the panels of the skirt of the Mantua, and she believes that there was actually a 7th panel added to the back of the Mantua to make it a larger skirt in the 1740s, when it was more fashionable to have a larger and wider skirt. And of course this quite cheap looking fabric wouldn't have been visible because the train from the Mantua would have actually covered it at the back.
Sheila, what motivated you to start the project?
The dress had been in this workshop for about 9 years. Every time I took it out, about once a year, perhaps 18 months, a little bit more dust, few more bits had fallen off, and it was getting steadily more and more degraded. Something had to be done. If I didn't do something, it was going to be lost, and that, in my terms, was a tragedy. Something so individual and rare as the 1735 Mantua had to be saved. So in the end I offered to do the work as long as they found money for the dummy and materials for conservation.
Miss Charlotte Epton donated this dress nearly 80 years ago. What do you think her feelings would be on the outcome?
Oh, I think Charlotte would be absolutely delighted, because she obviously wanted people to see the dress, in the fact that she gave it to a public gallery, and so to see all these people here today with so much interest in the dress, I'm sure she'll be absolutely delighted. I'm sure she's here in spirit.
And what are your opinions on Sheila's outcome?
Well, the dress looks amazing, and it's so good that we've got it to the state where it can be on display finally for people to see it, because there's been so much interest. I think Sheila's done an absolutely amazing job, and I hope that she's proud of what we've done, and the exhibition justifies her work in it. So yes, we're delighted.
They are very happy that visitors can now admire this wonderful costume, and thrilled that their film is now contributing to the visitor experience at Lincoln's Premier Museum.